Welcome. My name is Lucy Mukherjee, and I'm a senior programmer at the Tribeca Film Festival, where I'm focused on underrepresented voices and, in particular, LGBTQ cinema. And the topic of tonight's Tribeca Talks at Home discussion is The Half of It, the new film from writer-director Alice Wu. We're very lucky to have Alice and the three lead actors with us here tonight. Leah, Alexxis, and Daniel, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Nice to be here.
So The Half of It was, for those of you watching at home, was one of the 10 films selected to play in Tribeca's US competition this year. Ordinarily, of course, we'd be doing this Q&A in person in a theater, but Tribeca has had to postpone the festival until it's safe again for public gatherings in New York City. So it's my pleasure to be able to have this conversation with you all virtually. Thank you to Netflix and Tribeca for making it possible. The Half of It premieres on Netflix on May 1st, which is just a few days away, and I think it's safe to say that all of us are thrilled for audiences around the world to discover it. Leah, you're our leading lady, and watching you learn the art of romance in the film genuinely wins the viewer over. It's been said that there may be some similarities between the character that you play and your director. Can you tell us some of the ways that Alice helps you connect with your character?
It's actually really wonderful seeing all the similarities between Ellie and Alice, and getting to play Ellie was such a privilege because I love Alice so much. But, you know, I noticed that both of the characters, both Alice and Ellie, are so intelligent and so observant and so open to everything around them in that way that they observe things. And I found that so beautiful. And, you know, me as Leah, I feel like I'm a bit more, a little out there and much more energetic and like, woohoo! And actually, Alice was able to help me kind of find the more quieter, internal, observant parts of myself that really, really helped me connect with Ellie. And that was really amazing. It was an amazing process to be able to work with Alice on that.
Alice, you bring a feel-good quality and a tenderness, a tender authenticity to this coming-of-age tale. This, of course, is your second feature. How does it feel to have a new baby out in the world?
Oh gosh, it's exactly like you said. It does feel like another child. Like, I don't think they can be compared. This is like a whole different thing. But I also think it's funny that like, I just turned 50 like a few days ago, and I was asked sort of what was my favorite part of. Why? Look at how shocked!
Yeah.
Look at how shocked! You guys
really
know that. Like,
50.
No, but the thing is, Asians, man. But the thing
it sounds
is
brand
that,
new every time, though.
But the thing is this, I've been asked, like, what is my favorite thing about this film? And there's so many things I could say, but what immediately comes to mind for me is getting to work with like these three. I mean, these three are at the start of their career. You know, it's like just the beginning. And for me, it's actually like a chance to like, it kind of gives me a feeling of new life too, because like they're so talented. And I mean, they may or may not know this, but I literally, like, I'm probably a bitch to cast for, because I'm like, show me more people. Like, I probably looked at 500 to 600 like actors for every single role, because I'm so specific about what I wanted for these three. And I could not be happier. And B, just, I mean, these are obviously incredibly talented actors, but they're also incredibly wonderful people. And I don't know, I can't even explain, like, you're right when you say like the film is a baby. I think about these three, and I know they're like not my children, but they feel like my children, where I'm like, they're going out into the world, and that's great that there's this film, but I'm actually very curious to see what they do next and what their arc is going to be.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Excuse me. Your first film, Saving Face, also centered on a queer Chinese-American female, and you had the foresight to write her a happy ending, which in the early 2000s was pretty revolutionary. Now that we're in a post-marriage equality world, how was the experience of making this film different?
So it's funny. I think anyone who's expecting this film to be like Saving Face 2 is going to be disappointed, because these are two different films. Like the DNA is probably similar, because I, as a storyteller, there's certain philosophies I have, right? Like I fundamentally believe people are good, that most people are good. So I don't really have villains in my film. I just have people who are flawed, who are desperately trying to do what they think is right. And then things just sort of go horribly awry, right? And I think that here, I'm not really, like Saving Face is really about trying to make like the biggest romantic comedy I could on a tiny budget with all Asian American faces. Like I kind of wanted to prove that that could happen, right? And with this, I'm really trying to talk about the different ways, like the nature of love. And I think as a society, we tend to have a rather narrow definition of love. Like we exalt romantic love. And I kind of wanted to talk about all the different ways that we could connect in different forms of love, but to do it in a way where you have these three characters who, you know, all three of them would normally never intersect, but they do collide in the course of this film. And as a result of their collision, their connection allows each to learn something about themselves, right? That allows them to sort of move forward in their life. And so that's no longer a classic romantic comedy. Like I sort of tease you as if it's going to be a romantic comedy, but then I sort of subvert it in the middle. And I don't want to spoil the end, but I think that's somewhat the point, because I kind of think we're in a post-romantic comedy world, which doesn't mean that romantic comedies don't exist or they're not wonderful, but sometimes they feel a little like fantasies now, right? Like they're a fun thing that you watch, but we've gotten to a place in our lives where we kind of know that once the marriage happens and the credits roll, it's not like, and then everything's, you know, life is done. And we're, you know, like, and so because of that, I think this film is my attempt to address that.
That's great. And a very good segue to my next question. Daniel, your character, Paul, develops a really deep friendship with Ellie, and we don't often see platonic relationships between men and women on screen. So it's one of the things that's really refreshing about the film. I imagine it was hard for you to be so vulnerable with each other. Did you find ways to bond during the rehearsal process?
Definitely. I mean, I got very, very lucky with bonding with Leah very, very quickly off the bat. When we were testing for the project, straight away we were talking about everything from family to friends to our career, and it was an incredible experience in that regard. And so that kind of brought me comfortable enough into the project that by the time I met Alexxis and Wolfgang and the rest of the incredible cast, it was just this very organic kind of just feeling confident enough to open up further, and trusting that Alice had put together a bunch of people that really had the story on their mind and just beautiful hearts to kind of portray that same sort of thing that she was trying to portray with the story.
And Alexxis, of course, the half of it has roots in the classic French romance Cyrano de Bergerac. Yeah. Whether it's on screen or on stage or on the page, I've always felt that love stories are the way that we get to know a character most intimately. So the film hinges on your connection with both of your co-stars, and I think your character's curiosity to both of them feels really convincing.
I was really lucky to be able to kind of instantly connect with both of them. I remember meeting Leah at the chemistry read, and we really, it was probably one of the most instantaneous connections I've ever made with somebody before. I mean, we had met and we were at the casting office and we stepped outside for a minute and we just got to talking about the most intimate things of our life. And that was a really crazy experience. And so walking into the room to actually do the chemistry read and have Alice on camera kind of going over the scenes with us, I felt just such a sense of comfortability. I was so comfortable, and I remember we were doing a very specific scene, and I just felt so at ease, like I was talking to my best friend. It was really almost that soulmate connection right off the bat, for sure. And with Daniel, the first time we met was actually in New York, and we also had that instant connection where it was just, you know, there was no, I didn't feel any forced conversation, you know, anything we would talk about, it just came so organically and so naturally. And I really never experienced those types of connections with the cast before.
That's so great to hear, and it definitely comes off on screen.
Thank you.
Alice, cooking is a theme in both of your films. It serves as a form of communication between your characters, how they show their love and affection for each other. Can you talk about that?
I can't. I love food, and I do think it's a very big thing. And certainly in Asian cultures, that food is a big thing. But it's so funny. The thought that comes to mind is someone recently brought up the link of the fact that in Saving Face, there's like hot dogs. They're constantly eating hot dogs. And in this film, there's like the taco sausage. And they were like, what is your thing with that? And what came to mind for me is that I love meat and I love efficiency. So the ability to eat meat like by hand quickly is like a big thing for me. So I don't know. I think, and I also say with taco sausage that I literally remember the day I came up with that idea. I thought, I went into the kitchen and said to a friend of mine who's another writer, like, I don't know what's going to happen with the script, but taco sausage is a big winner. Like, I'm totally convinced that thing's going to take off. So, but yeah, I think, and then the other thing I guess I would say is that, like, certainly in Asian, or at least in my experience being a Chinese, growing up with Chinese immigrant parents and speaking Mandarin with them, we don't say I love you. Like, that's not a thing that we say. Now when we say it as adults, we say it in English if we say it at all. Like, there's no, it just sounds weird. It sounds weirdly romantic. Like, only lovers say I love you in Mandarin, right? But what we do is we show each other. So a lot of times that means we cook for each other. Like, that's our way of showing that we love each other.
Beautiful. And I think as a curator, I'm aware of how few films are made by and about the Asian American diaspora. And I'm grateful to be seeing a rise in these stories lately. There was an article in the LA Times recently about it articulated how precious this canon of work is. What untold stories do you have brewing in you that you hope to share with the world in the future?
I do have a few stories that I want to work on. They've been, it's so funny. I think I work best when I'm just kind of anonymous. And so I was sort of joking, but kind of not joking with someone that I think my best case scenario is this film comes out. In the best case scenario, people love it. They're very happy about it. And then immediately forget I exist so that I can just sort of disappear and work on my thing until I feel like it's ready. And if it's never ready, then I'll just sail off into the sunset and live my life, right? But if it is ready, then I'll probably kill myself trying to get it made. So if you see me pop up again, then I'm probably trying to like get something made. But otherwise, I don't know. I'm probably somewhere, I don't know, eating food with my friends.
I've watched the film 3 times now, and there's a moment between Ellie and Asta that grabs me every time without revealing any spoilers. Can you tell us, was there ever a draft of the script that ended differently, or did you always anticipate for Ellie's story to end the way it does in the film?
There was never a draft of the script because, to be honest, we shot the second draft of the script. This thing happened fast. Like, I wrote the first draft. And there's a story going around now that everyone will read where I had to write a check for $1,000 to the NRA and threaten to send it. I had it hanging over my head that it would get sent in if I didn't finish this first draft. And that's how I got the first draft finished, to avoid that happening. And then I took a good 4 months to really massage that second draft. But I still didn't think this would get made. I just sort of sent it off to my writing group. And they were like, it's great. And I was like, I don't know anyone. But then it kind of got slipped around. So I guess this is a long way of saying that, by the time I wrote that first draft, I'd already decided on this sort of ending. I didn't know the specifics. I didn't know exactly what was going to happen, but I did know that it was going to be a red herring, the whole who's going to get the girl, mainly because these kids are 17, right? And I think that there's certain happy endings that might seem happy for the moment, but in the long run, is that really the best thing? And for all your characters, and I do think of my characters as children, I want them to have the best arc possible. Frankly, even Wolfgang's character Trig, his arc is basically a guy that nothing bad ever happens to. Everything goes his way. And at the very end, it's the first moment that he's like, wait, something could not go my way, which seems like it would be sad, but I actually think that's like a fantastically happy thing for that character, if that makes any sense. Like there's something that's like, and so I don't know, I see it that way. And I think this is the happiest, authentic ending that is believable for these three. And I think it also still honors their relationships with each other.
Absolutely. Leah, I'd love to get your thoughts on, have you imagined a sequel or at least an epilogue that flashes forward where Ellie comes back to her hometown months or years later? What do you think? How do you think she would interact with her friends?
I definitely have imagined a sequel behind Alice's back in my spare time. I imagine that things don't necessarily kick off with a bang, because it's kind of interesting now that Ellie Chu is friends with the guy who just had a crush on her, that she now has feelings for the girl that he just liked. And I think it's much more than just Ellie being like, hey, Aster, let's get together. This is the very, very early stages of quite literally the beginning of the rest of these characters' lives. So I can see Ellie Chu going to college and kind of navigating through this friendship triangle, and also exploring her feelings with Aster, hopefully Alice, if that doesn't step on your creative toes. I could picture them still staying in contact, but you never know. You never know what Ellie's going to do with those feelings, but it's cool that she's even realizing these things about herself to begin with, and that's a start.
Absolutely. I'd love to go to Alexxis and ask, can you share a little bit more about working with Alice and Leah and the experience of making this film? Give us a behind the scenes take.
Sure. I mean, really my first experience with Alice was actually through a Skype before I had even booked the film. And I just remember, I remember doing my research on Alice, and I was so nervous to hop on a call with her. It was just a very intimidating thing at first, because I was like, she's so smart. And then we hopped on and she was so well spoken. I was just like, ah!
I could not tell at all.
I was so nervous. I was so nervous.
Oh.
But you made it so easy. She really took the time to just talk to me about not even the film or the character necessarily. She really wanted to get to know me. And that was a really calming factor in that first call. And I felt like, you know, she just really wanted to get to know me and see how I related to Aster and how that would fit in. And that was a really nice experience. And really being on set with her, she really does have this maternal feel where it was like, I always wanted to hop on set and make mom proud, you know?
You definitely did. But
that was really nice, is just being able to go on set though, and really be able to have candid conversations with her too. And she was so open to just having these conversations and seeing where I was at. And, you know, working with Leah was, I mean, absolutely incredible. Like I said, I really never had a connection with somebody like that before. I think a couple of times on set, we kind of, you know, we got along a little too well. We'd be a little rowdy where we'd have to be like, okay, this is not Ellie and Aster, yes, so we need to chill a little bit. So that was a little hard to navigate, where we were a little like, you know, too close, where we had to kind of definitely take a step back on set and be like, okay, let's take a minute. You go stand in a corner by yourself. I'm gonna go stand in mine, and you know, let's get in our right mind. But you know, it really was such an incredible experience, and the cast really was so close. But yeah, working with Alice and having that really close relationship was such an incredible experience.
Daniel, is there anything else that you'd like to share about the film that we haven't touched on yet?
I don't think so. I think the movie speaks for itself. Alice has written something absolutely incredible. I think who she is just comes through so well through the course of the movie, through the course of the characters. I'm just really excited for everybody to see the work that's been put in. I know everybody involved put their hearts and souls into this, and it's been truly a life-changing experience for me. I know for everybody that I've talked to as well. And so I'm so very thankful to Alice for fighting for me for this project. I mean, this is one of my first projects ever, let alone helping lead a project. So for her to put her faith in me meant the world and has changed my life. I mean, I'm living in LA now. I'm from a tiny town on an island off of Canada. So it's a crazy kind of thing for me. And I think just really excited for everybody who's watching this to resonate with the love that she's trying to share with everybody.
I have to say this moment is super hard for me that we're in a pandemic and I can't just reach out and hug you all. Like I'm actually getting a little misty now. I'm looking at you guys and I'm like, oh,
Mom, we love you.
I know. Honestly, like these kids, like when they're like, there's zero doubt in my mind for all three of these people that it's going to be stratospheric.
Thank you so much. And Alice, thank you for bringing us the half of it. You're part of the Tribeca family now, and we look forward to supporting all of your future work. That's it from us. Be sure to tune into the half of it on Netflix, and then find us all on social media so you can let us know your favorite scene. This was Tribeca Talks at Home, and I'm Lucy Mukherjee signing off.